Listen, laugh, and learn with Sacha and Ish as they share their experiences, thoughts, and tips to build skills that are not so average and a career that's not so ordinary. This is the Not So Breakfast Show.
All right, welcome to Not So Breakfast Show, the podcast for leadership and career development. And today we are taking inspiration from one of Sacha's favourite movies of all times. And if I may, raindrops on roses and whiskers on kittens.
Bright copper kettles and warm woolen mittens.
And we're talking about our favourite things. It's not whiskers on kittens for me, I can tell you that right now. But one of my favourite things is Sacha Coburn. And you've been out running, which makes you just extra favourite as well.
Well, one of my favourite things is, maybe this is human nature, that every time you do something that is against your type, you feel really good. So one of my favourite things is, because I'm such a big mouth, I talk a really good game. And I'm conscious that I don't always back it up with my actions. So I have lots of really great ideas that don't always get executed. And so I've been talking about the fact that I'm running this 11K race and I'm going over the Harbour Bridge and it's just increasingly close to actual race day and my running program hasn't started. So I found this 8-week training plan. So I couldn't possibly start until it was exactly 8 weeks before race day. I didn't want to have any fitness in the bank. I wanted to test it. And it's really hard because you've only given yourself 8 weeks. Anyway, today was day one. And so this was like rubber meeting the road. Are you actually going to do any of the necessary training? Or are you going to find a reason why this year wasn't your year to do it? And so one of my favourite things is when I actually do something that I find challenging, that's hard for me, and it's actually me delivering on all my bullshit talk that I'm really good at. And so just right now, just before I sat down to record this, I did the first running workout of that new regime. And I feel $1 million. I mean, I feel very old and tired, but having done it, I feel really great. I think this is a good start.
Yes, it is a good start, and I'm impressed and proud of you. That is really cool. So I'm going to watch this space with lots of intent for a positive outcome, and you're going to nail it. I know you are.
Thanks, Ish. I thought you were going to say one of your favourite things is watching me go really well for 5 minutes or 2 days of the 8-week program, and you've got this little thing in the back of your mind where you go, inevitably, lady's gonna suck at this.
No way, not this one. This is you. You've got it.
Thanks, man.
So we're talking about a few of our favourite things, and maybe a business perspective, maybe a personal perspective, but it is quite cool to pack a few of your favourite things into your week, into your life. Make sure that you can kind of look back and go, you know what, that week sucked, but I did a few of my favourite things as well. So I think sometimes being able to design a life and design things that might just help us cope with the stuff that might be outside of our control. But I'm interested to unpack a few of your favourite things, Sash.
Well, what was super interesting for me as I started this is I realised how macro and micro my things are. So part of the experience of getting more out of every day and everyday work situations, everyday life situations, even when things are hard, part of the trick is, where is the joy in the tiny moments? And reflecting on them can elevate you. And that's what's happened for me as I've asked myself this question. Some of my favourite things are big kind of global ideas, and others are just I'll give you the first example is when this combination works, where you put your Vogel's toast into the toaster and you get it perfectly toasted to the toastiness that you like, the crispiness that you like, and then when you cut open your avocado to put on the perfectly toasted Vogel's, the avocado is at the perfect ripeness that you like. And that is it doesn't happen very often that those two things go together, but when that happens, then you crack the salt and pepper onto it. Holy moly, that's a good start to the day. That is one of my favourite things, when those two things go together. And that's a tiny thing.
Yeah.
But it's something that actually feels good.
Yeah, good.
You might have some more specific things like, I don't know, people handing work in to deadline. But I went straight to food.
Yeah, well, I can do a food one first as well. I like it when you go out for a great dinner or you've cooked a great dinner and you finish it and you're not really full. You don't feel like you've overeaten. Because I hate it when I have had a really good meal, but I just feel violated with food. Like I just know I've eaten too much and I hate that feeling. So for me, one of my favorite things is a great meal that wasn't too big and that I still feel like had a good meal, but I don't feel overfull because, then I always start going, oh man, I shouldn't have done that. And I don't like that.
You have all the regret that goes with it. That's interesting because you know how much I love Japanese food.
Mm-hmm.
And Japanese food leaves you like that. It's light and it's raw, and I can't get you near any raw fish or even Japanese food. So that's something we're going to get there on that one. I love what you're saying, the idea of the perfect meal and the perfect amount, and you've got that right.
Yeah, that always feels
good. If I
good.
go out then to something that's incredibly like more macro than that, and this is a feeling, and I get it from time to time. I love the feeling when you are somewhere that's familiar to you, but that makes you feel like you could be anywhere in the world.
Wow.
So there's something about the experience that's kind of universal or global, or maybe it's often urban experiences. So, for example, in Otatahi Christchurch, there are some little bars and laneways that have been established after the earthquake. And in some of those, I feel like I could be in New York, or I could be in London, or I could be in a tiny little wine bar in Paris somewhere. And I love that feeling of a kind of a global perspective on things. And sometimes it's when you are in a shop, and I don't know, it's hard to, do you know what I mean, that feeling?
Well, I know the feeling that you're describing. I can imagine it. But for me, the feeling that I love is nostalgia. So I love going to, and we'll use, say, Strangers Lane in Christchurch, right? And we go there, and then I remember all the other times that I've been there, and I like that feeling. So, I mean, I am literally the guy that could probably just go to 5 restaurants, same 5 restaurants for the rest of my life, and I would be happy because I like the memories and the good times and everything that come with that. I mean, I'll be lonely because Joe will leave me for someone more interesting, but on the whole, I love that nostalgia feeling. And I think that's been the same in some of the holidays that we've taken, going back to the same place and knowing the kids have grown up there and seeing that thing and remembering when they were little and all that. So, so that nostalgia feeling for me is quite an important part of enjoying, events or times that we go out. So, that's on a higher macro level, I guess, as well.
Well, see, I think that the paradox in that is last week I had a 50th birthday celebration with some friends in Christchurch, and it was the friends that were in my theatre group with me 100 years ago. And we used to put plays on, amateur dram, dancing, singing, cabaret, multimedia kind of extravaganza. None of us are very good. In fact, some of the others can sing really well. But it's an amateur production. We write our own scripts, we put our music together, and off we go. It's a really good fun night. So I invited all of the people from my past, from when I was 27, 28, 29, putting on these plays and these shows. And a number of them came, and we all went and watched this year's production and to support this year's cast. And it's just the most wonderful feeling where you haven't seen people for 10 years at least. And it's just like yesterday. And we weren't particularly close in, we don't have anything else in common. We don't have the same politics. I suspect our values are quite different. We have really different jobs. And yet when we are all together singing those cheesy old ABBA songs, there's this incredible sense of camaraderie and community, and I love that. So this going from this feeling of I could be anywhere in the world to actually I could only be in this place right now because this is a very discrete and unique community. And I think in both of those, what my favourite thing is, if I kind of summed it up around that, it's the connection. It's the feeling that I'm in a place that connects to other places in the world that I've known and experienced, and then that intense community connection where you've built something together that was fun and important.
Yeah, I love that. I love being able to step into a unique strength that I have, and this is very self-absorbed and all about me, but those
Go,
moments...
I'm here for it.
But those moments when you might be part of a group working on something and there's just something that needs to be done and you know you can just pick that up and nail it at a pace and at a quality that no one else can do. And I just like being able to do that and know that it serves the group and serves the cause. But yeah, there is some validation there that comes. And I know as leaders, we want to create opportunities for other people and we want to do that kind of stuff. But it is awesome every now and then to just step into your zone and be the ninja in the dojo, you know, that this is what you do.
Just that moment of, guys, I've got this. It's okay.
It's okay.
Everyone be calm. Ish is here. I get it. I think we all have a need to feel wanted and useful. It's not just, wanted, but actually knowing that this is a sweet spot for you, that you can smash that out. That's super cool.
Yeah, and it's nice seeing that you still got it, right? I think, you know, as you've been doing it for a while and you have created a team around you that can do the stuff that you need to do. But sometimes it is nice to just kind of go back and go, have I still got it? Can I still do that? And then you look at that. Yeah, I can.
It's not exactly a parallel with my running, but a little bit. Even as I got out the gate today, I'm like, how does this go? 1 foot, then the other foot, a little bit faster than walking. I got this. I was just looking on my desk. I've got a pile of new books, and new books are my favourite thing. And again, there's this contradiction. I've actually stopped enjoying bookshops so much. I used to love going to bookshops. And there's a fantastic essay about the unknown unknowns, where you go into a bookshop and you discover the book that is perfect for you, that until you walked into the bookshop, you had no idea it even existed. So you didn't even know that it was something that you needed or that would be useful for you, and it's just right there in front of you. What's happening now for me in bookshops is I feel my own mortality. And I walked into a beautiful bookshop the other day, and my eyes welled up, and I thought, oh, you are such a sookie bubba. You need to get a grip of yourself, woman. Because I realised I'm never going to be able to read all of the books I want to read. And I mean, that's equally true of a baby as it is of me at 50, but it feels very real right now that even if I read a book a day, which I'm never going to have time to, I'm never going to choose to do that, I will not have time to read all the books that there are that I'm going to want to read. And so one of my ideas is for everybody who wants to contribute and put things out into the world is just to stop. Just to go, okay, no more books now. We finished books because people need time to catch up. But every day there's some new stuff coming out. But for me, going in and being able to just choose a couple, and the selection I've got is really varied. I've got a book about Stoics. It's called Reasons Not to Worry. Catherine Chidgey's new book. She's a New Zealand writer. I've got Dan Carter, who's a rugby player. The Art of Winning. I'm like, I feel like winning. That'd be great. Give me some of that. And then there's a book about a New Zealander who was killed in the Ukraine war. And he'd gone over to volunteer, and it's the story of his life and what he was dedicated to. And just that, going into a bookshop, smelling the new book, seeing those ideas, favourite thing, absolutely, even if it's a little sad.
We'll be right back.
If there was one skill that could double your income, advance your career, and increase your ability to influence, it is the skill of presenting. Whether it's on stage, in the boardroom, or at a job interview, the 30-minute presenter program will help take you to the next level. So check out our Instagram page, click the link in the bio, and get started on the 30-minute presenter program. Well, I may be able to make you feel better then, because I think technology is getting to the point where you will have read everything on the planet because they'll just plug you into it. So you could 15 years from now, 20 years from now, just be a library or read whatever you want, because it's kind of like the Matrix. I figure, I want to know Kung Fu, and they just upload the program. Surely it's coming, Sash. I think it's coming for you.
Well, I can see that world, but part of it's the savouring, the discovery, the word by word. I just read a Emily Perkins book. She's another New Zealand writer, and what was incredible about this, and maybe you can translate it into film as a favourite thing, is when something happens in a script or on the screen and you both did not see it coming, but as soon as it happens, it makes perfect sense.
Yeah.
And you go, wow, I did not see that coming. It makes perfect sense. That's so clever. I'm blown away. Wow. Those moments of wow, that's some of my favourite things, when you just go, oh, this is beauty.
Yeah, because we don't get a lot of those now, because like you go to a movie or you're watching some stuff, and even though you may be reasonably surprised from time to time, it's been done before, right?
Yeah.
So when you get to see those moments on screen, on film, wherever it is, where you just go, I haven't seen that done. And all of a sudden it sets a new standard, right? And I think back to, Terminator 2, when the Terminator melted through the bars, and that special effect and seeing that and just being blown away because I just hadn't seen that. And the Matrix where Trinity jumps up and they spin around. So all of that stuff that is there, it pushes creatives to go further and further and further. And you kind of go, well, as technology gets better and better and better, we are still going to get surprised, which is, it is nice to think that there's still some stuff out there that's not new under the sun, but will be able to hit that moment for us of, a little bit of uncertainty and surprise. I quite like having days that are the complete opposite of my normal days. So my normal days are very structured, and meetings and being at something at the right time and giving to other people and all that kind of stuff.
Wearing pants.
Just love wearing pants. And I just love the days where I can wake up and not wear pants. But I'm in control of my own day. Like literally just to the point, and again, it's probably quite selfish and self-absorbed as I reflect on it right now. But those days where it's like, I have nothing to do. I could mow the lawns, I could not mow the lawns. I could watch Netflix, I could not watch Netflix. I can go out for lunch or not go out for lunch. Like, I love that completely open and just being able to almost design the day the way I want it to go by just making decisions in the moment. And that's a luxury and it's something I love.
I understand it intellectually. And I don't have lots of experience of it. But yes, those days, I get it. And I suppose the difference is I feel like most days are like that for me. I suppose the element, you still have responsibilities and timetable, but the element of self-employment kind of makes a difference in that mix a little bit. You're responsible to your team, but you're kind of beholden to no one.
Yeah,
if that makes sense. And I think that's a double-edged sword, really. I was thinking that one of my favourite things, and it will sound like intellectual snobbery, and I want to be really clear, it's not. I love experts. So I can watch a documentary about anything if someone is either A, expert, or B, really deep into it. So it could be somebody who lives in a forest somewhere who carves little wooden animals with expert skill because they've been doing that for 50 years and that's been passed down through multiple generations, and I'll lose 2 hours and be deeply embedded into that world because they just have real craftsmanship or expertise, or somebody that knows all about engines. I don't care about engines, but I'll find myself getting wrapped up in someone else's passion and detail, and I love that. I love coming across people who are just into stuff. Doesn't even matter what it is. Whatever it is you're into, if you're into it and you've got good at it and you've crafted your skill or you've got something to share, I'm there for it. I'm there for learning about that. It's a trick and a trap with social media, though, because it means I can just go down some incredible rabbit warrens, which is not helpful for my productivity, but I feel like I'm expanded as a person. You learn stuff about stuff. That's completely not useful.
I've got a food one then. I love red licorice.
Oh!
It's probably the nostalgia again. I'm not eating my feelings, but I'm tasting my feelings. There's something about red licorice. And I think it came from when the girls were younger, we used to we would grab some red licorice and share it and go park at the beach or, go for a walk or something. And yeah, just those little wee moments. But it's funny how foods and smells bring back memories of things like that. Yeah. It's such an interesting thing that you can tap into as well, and how a song can do that, or a smell, or something. But then once you know what it is, you can do that whenever you want. Like if you've got a song that makes you feel great, you can put that song on whenever you want to change your mood and change the dynamic. Which is pretty cool. Yeah, I like that stuff.
What do you love, and what are your favourite things in a professional context? Things that you go, oh yeah, I love that. That's my favourite.
I love brainstorming around solving a problem. So being in a group of people who are great at what they do and literally just going, let's unpack this. How could we solve it? What's it going to take? And that organic kind of conversation and organic evolution of an idea that happens. So you're starting off with nothing other than the desperation of, dude, we've got to solve this. If it's not us, we are done. And just getting the right people in the room and just being able to go, here's where we are, here's where we need to be. How do we fill that gap? And then all of a sudden, sometimes you get to the end of it and you kind of go, man, how do we come up with that idea? That is an awesome idea. And then being able to execute on it. So I do love that, almost creating something out of nothing or out of a necessity. I love that. Love a good brainstorm. Love a good meeting, Sash. Love a good Post-it.
Two really kind of egotistical things that just kind of sprang into my mind then about favourite work things for me. And it was when you were talking about being in a room full of really clever and smart people. I love being by far and away, not the smartest person in the room, but also not the dumbest person in the room. So what I mean by that is, and I'm not sitting there comparing myself all the time, but I want to be in a room where I can, at some level, keep up. Otherwise you're not able to contribute or learn enough because you're too far from what's being talked about. So my point is, I want to be not the cleverest in the room by a long shot, but I want to be able to keep up with what's being discussed. And so for me, all those learning environments where I've been and where I have far and away been way down the pecking order of smarts, but I've been able to grasp the concepts, that's my favourite, because your brain's exploding, but it's not so far away from you that you can't touch it or reach it or find it useful. And then the other thing is, I don't know if you've experienced this, and it's completely about ego, and I'm not proud of it, but I don't know if you've experienced it. When you see your children doing things that you are also good at, and you go, that's my boy, that's my girl, and that's a really favourite thing. Obviously, you get proud of your children when you see them in action, and not for doing award-winning things, just are they kind or, are they good people? There's all that. But I've been super lucky that both my kids at various stages of their schooling in particular, they've both given incredible speeches. And when they do that, I have this moment where I go, oh, that's a little bit of me in there. I love that.
Yeah.
I get emotional just talking about it, right? Because I know that some of that must have come from me.
Yeah.
Surely. Can't just be a coincidence, can it? The flip of that is that when, say Tiger, for example, when he's being good at golf or good at cricket, oh, that's not me. That didn't come from me. So I'll claim the speeches.
But that's probably what coaches experience, right? When they're coaching someone and then they start to see that transfer of knowledge or transfer of skills. And I mean, you and I obviously train a lot of people to do public speaking, and it always amazes me how sometimes it's just the little things that actually make such a big difference. Like you just suddenly switch something on and you go, have you thought about doing it this way? Or have you thought about telling a story there instead of trying to read from your PowerPoint? And then you see them actually do it and it just land and you're like, oh man, that has changed the way that they are going to do that for the rest of their lives. And then they'll go out and build on the skill. But I think those coaching moments as a parent, it's always good when they listen.
On the rare occasion. And you know, one of my other favourite things is trying something new, but in a relatively safe context. So every now and again when I'm going to prepare a presentation and, the 30-minute presenter program, it walks through all this. And so much of what we teach there, you and I do just, osmotically. You don't even have to think about it. But when I prepare new stuff, I do think about it. I deliberately go, what is the right song to open with here? So I don't know if it worked or not, but just yesterday I did a talk for Lesbos International. And maybe guys, if you were there, you get some feedback about whether the intro worked or not. But so the CEO introduced me and he said lovely things. This is my bio, etc. And so I just got on stage and I said, thanks for that introduction, but in truth, I'm just Ken. And I sang the song from Barbie, right? Now, that may or may not have worked, but I loved the process of thinking about what that would be like to say thanks for the introduction, but actually, I'm just Ken, and singing a bit of the Ken song, as opposed to some of the other openings I've got. And that's some of my favourite stuff. It's like trying out, I suppose like it's a comedian, trying out new material, seeing what lands or what doesn't land. That's fun.
And you're probably a bit like me. You like the anticipation, excitement, nervousness kind of feeling before you get on stage. I find it so intriguing that a lot of people experience that as terror. It's like, oh my goodness, I've got to get up in front of someone. But as you get more competent in the skill, there's a nervousness and anticipation, and sometimes it's like, are you going to be as good as they think you're going to be? So, but being able to step into that space, but that nervousness for me is a really fun feeling. It's like the nervousness before the roller coaster ride is part of the ride. Like I quite enjoy that just as much as I do on the roller coaster. We just must have learnt to do that. I don't remember always liking that. I remember feeling the nerves. Public speaking is a skill that you learn and you get better. It's not like you are born and you're a public speaker, right? You learn the skill, and then as you learn the skill, you start to appreciate the competency, and then the feeling and the nervousness, it fuels you in a different way.
There's lots of science around high performance, balancing and managing your nervousness before something that's big. And I think some of the similar ideas apply that, for you and I, before we go on stage, there's a nervousness, but we sound like the two biggest blowhards, but I know that for both of us, it's about serving the audience. It's about wanting the audience to have some value and that they can take something home and do something differently or apply something. And all the packaging is just in service of that message. If they laugh a bit, they might remember. If they laugh a bit, it might open a crack in their brain that lets some content through. It might break down a barrier for a minute, and that's all you need is a minute to give somebody a fresh perspective. So, yeah.
Hey, I brought something pretty exciting the other day, Sash, and it hasn't arrived yet, but I'm excited about it, and I'm going to list it as one of my favourite things, but it hasn't arrived yet.
Oh, let me guess.
I've got some anticipation.
Let me guess. Okay, big or small, you've either bought a Tesla or you've bought some kind of Lego kit or an electric guitar.
Oh, those are good options. But no, it is not one of those. But if I could trade it for a Tesla, I might. But so Tesla, if you are listening, feel free to send us one. Just we could brand it up and do a little bit of promotion for you.
Not so Tesla show.
I brought a dueling lightsaber.
Oh, so I was in the right area with Lego.
You were in the right area with Lego. But yeah, so I've been looking at them for a while and they had a 50% sale. And so I said to Sam, hey, Sam, have you thought about Father's Day? Do you want to get some money towards this? So we went in on it together. But yeah, so it's one that's, in the dark, it lights up like a lightsaber and you can duel with it. You can actually fight with it. So now I just need someone else to buy one.
And does it make noises?
It makes noises. Yeah, it makes noises.
Oh,
so
amazing.
Pretty exciting.
I want to see it. Photos. Proof when it arrives, please.
Yeah, I'll put it on our Instagram when it arrives. Some dueling footage. Maybe of me chasing you over the harbour bridge with it.
Thank you. That might be what I need. So it's not just all the sound of music. Our favourite things can lift us through the day, can get us through some tough patches. Worthwhile just asking yourself, what are your favourite things and can you incorporate more of them into your life? Can you put more of them on your bucket list or your to-do list? Or just notice the things in your everyday life that are really special, like the perfect piece of toast, or the meal that's just not too heavy and not too light, Goldilocks.
Or the brainstorm meeting where everyone has a lightsaber.
Or the meeting where you're the hero and you rescue it and get the work done.